My name is Dean LeBaron, CFA, investment manager, and for most of my life, a purveyor of good investment ideas. However, I must confess, here in the midst of the economists who are buried in this graveyard, that for the last 5 years, my performance has been stinky. So I come here to reflect, and that they might speak to me from their graves and give me some advice. It's quiet, it's peaceful, and I never really know quite what they will say to me. And I hope that it can be translated into better results for you. I come here for long-term strategies. Of course, I'm an old boy, and that means I think of long-term. Now, for some of you who are young, you think of seconds and minutes, but not here, not in this quiet place where we come out in the woods. Look at the moss hanging from the tree. It's taken centuries to do that. And that's exactly why I come here, for perspective on the fact that we make long-term strategies, and we can separate out monetary conditions from economic conditions. You can't do it elsewhere. You can't do it at all. I wonder if I can find somebody here who will give me some advice, specific advice. Please.
Dean LeBaron!
Oh my God!
A venture capitalist!
Oh.
I am here from Economic Underworld to help you with this. I haven't seen you since the Contrary Opinion Forum in Virgin, Vermont in 2009, when Goldman Sachs brought me to help with the situation.
It is Professor Kondratieff, Nikolai Kondratieff, who was shot in 1938 by Stalin. Those damn Soviet bullets, they don't work. They must have missed you.
I am the ghost of 1938.
All right, the bullets hit you.
John Maynard Keynes has sent me to check on this insane world of quantitative easing and derivatives. Yeah. You know, in Economic Underworld, John Maynard Keynes is very worried about the excessive debauchery of monetary creation. He has sent me to talk to you to find out what is going on. Is my Kondratieff wave still relevant?
Oh, it is. But why doesn't he talk to some of his disciples like Larry Summers and so forth instead of to me?
Dynamite question.
Are there other? This is the economics underworld that you came from. There are many other economists there. Yes?
Oh, yes. There's Schumpeter.
Yep.
There's Karl Marx.
Yep.
Milton Friedman.
Okay. They know about bad performance, so I'm glad. So you can tell me about my bad performance. They are the experts.
Well, we have to go to sit by the sea and drink vodka, and I will help you with my inspiration, because I have to go back and tell Maynard Keynes what in hell is going on in this world financially.
One thing we'll see in the sea, and that is there are waves that are coming in, one wave after another. And Professor Kondratieff, you are the lifetime expert of waves.
Now you must tell me, is my theory, my wave theory, my cycle theory still relevant?
That's why we'll go there. It's waves.
To the sea and to the vodka.
To the vodka and the vodka, yes, exactly.
Nastarovia.
Nastarovia.
You have lived during this last Kondratieff cycle, and as I have not been here since 1938, I have to look to you because you have experienced this cycle. And by my reckoning, we are in Kondratieff winter.
Yes.
Now,
you are right.
Tell us about 1938 on and the beginning of this Kondratieff wave cycle.
What happened in the wave is at the early stages of the wave of about 1942, there was an American and Japanese battle called the Battle of Midway. That started the new precise period of a new wave that ran through the post-World War II period, all the way to the end when the Soviet and American conflict ended. That was a tremendous period from the word depression on into super prosperity with very few people. That was the Kondratieff period of about 60 years. Now, Professor Kondratieff, you can correct people because they say, some people use Kondratieff waves very precisely. They say 57.6 years, which is the average of every cycle. But you can say, is it a cultural cycle, in which case it may be 50 years, it may be 75 years. It's not so precise, but you have to get the cultural things correct. For example, we may be in the Kondratieff winter phase now, but you called it correctly then. And then in the winter phase, you have some cross currents that can happen. It's generally very uncomfortable times. And so I propose to people that they have to be conscious of the fact that although the monetary conditions and the economy used to be in complete lock together, with monetary conditions preceding economic conditions, now they're not so locked. Now it's separate. Monetary conditions can be like a casino, and economic conditions can be moving independent. All of the people like me and at my age have learned how to be successful investors in an age that does not exist anymore. And they have to learn new things. For example, we used to think about markets, short-term cycles of 3 years, up and down and so on and so forth. Or within the Kondratieff cycle of about 70 years or 57 years. But now, the people who are investing, they're doing it successfully, are less than 30 years old, much younger than me or you had you been living to this age. And they are not investing, but they are speculating for liquidity. And that is what's called investing today. Speculation for liquidity. It's totally different. The old boys, like me, are totally mystified by this. But yet they think they could be successful. They have to learn new things. And we have an expression, at least in America now, that old dogs do not learn new tricks. I have heard of a principle in a book, and it refers to you in this book. It's called the dog bone portfolio. And it talks about Professor Kondratieff. They may not have consulted with you. And it's about following dogs around, neighborhood dogs, and seeing how they invest their bones, their dog bones. What do they do with them? Do they put them all in one safe place? Or do they dig separate holes? Now, you know, because you would have been given them advice had you been at their kennel, dig separate holes. Would you say today to investors, they should follow the dog and learn from banking? What do you say, Professor Kondratieff?
Well, it sounds like the Monte Carlo casino in the first place, and then it sounds like the tail, maybe the derivative's tail, is wagging the investment dog.
Yes, nothing wrong with the Monte Carlo casino investing, as long as you own the casino.
Now, Dean, I have to ask you, you have been managing money for years. What advice can you give investors today as we go deeper into Kondratieff winter?
Yes, I have two bits of advice, Professor Kondratieff, and they are both I have learned from you. Number one is most of the time, as an investment manager today in the Kondratieff winter, the way things are changing all the time, you don't know what to do. Don't make up stories as an investment manager to be bullish or bearish. Admit the worst thing that you can possibly do is say to the clients, I don't know what to do today, so today I'm not going to do anything. We'll wait until the next time I know how to do it. Go on automatic pilot until you really do know what you're going to do. Don't try to make up something, because that's going to be a very, very expensive lesson. The second is, look for young people who essentially don't carry their old baggage. They haven't looked at the behavior of markets during the Kondratieff summer and spring period, which does not apply in the winter. This is a new period. New things are emerging. Be wide open and alert to what are the new things that are occurring. It may well be, for example, as I say, that markets are separated from economics. That is a totally new development for people like me. But the young people are quite accustomed to that. They will pay a premium, for example, to have their trading pattern cut in before the New York Stock Exchange acts. They think that's ethical. I personally think it's unethical, but they think it's fine. But it also is very profitable. But it's profitable in milliseconds, not in a 3-year cycle, even as long as a Kondratieff cycle. That is a new thing, and they have to be fresh to that new thing. That's what I would be telling them. Be alert to new things. We may be facing today the disappearance of cash. I went to the local bank here not too long ago, and I asked for some cash from my deposit. And they said, "Oh, Mr. LeBaron, I'm sorry, we don't have that much cash." No, it was not so much cash that I was asking for. We don't have it, but we can't give it to you. We may well be facing, as it has happened in Europe, times you put money into a cash machine and it doesn't occur. So the disappearance of cash means better control over the financial system. What John Maynard Keynes said was that they have a relationship between risk and return, and you can always look at the markets and see what you would pay for risk, in terms of risk, in order to get a return. Now that's not true. Now we have zero interest rates, essentially, all over the world.
Is that true? You have zero, even negative interest rates.
It's very true. And the system is terribly, terribly broken for political purpose. It has been broken for 15 years. Now, it won't occur because there is another system that is incorporated within the Kondratieff wave, which didn't occur at the time you were talking, but you would have been attracted to it had you still stayed alive and the bullets not worked, and that is complexity theory. And in complexity theory, you add one more grain of sand to the pile, and you never know when the pile will break, but it will break. That is sure. It's just you don't know when it will break. And we use that principle also to making what's called an atomic bomb that also occurred after your effect, although the German physicists were working at it at the time in which you were shot. And the reason I was so excited by talking to you is that I'm trying to look through to the next wave. I'm looking through the winter to see the signs. Now look at that wave out there. I can't tell. I want to see whether it breaks. Not every wave breaks, and because it comes out with frost. Some don't. This is the next one wave that you're looking at. It's coming in smooth. It's not breaking at all. Now it's going to break. But as some breaks and some don't, and you can't tell.
Dean, we get information from Goldman Sachs in Economic Underworld. I am hearing that there are $1 quadrillion of derivatives out there. What is your comment on all of this?
I have two comments. First, I am curious, how much does the Economic Underworld pay in commissions to Goldman Sachs for getting this information? How much do they use? Soft dollars, or do they use hard dollars, or dead dollars?
That is a dark secret, Dean.
Unfair. All right. The second, but the second is that the whole mound of paper is rising. Underneath that is substance, and the substance stays approximately the same. Probably it increases at about 2% per year, which is the average of global GDP according to the IMF, roughly 1.7, 1.9%. So the substance stays the same. However, this goes up at some unknown percentage. The estimate is somewhere between 50 and 100% a year. These people with the paper think they have access to substance. But someday, the music will stop in this musical chairs game. And the people holding the paper will want to sit in the chairs that have the substance.
It sounds like bullshit baffles brains.
Yes, exactly. And the system that you pointed out so well is that this was cyclical. This was a wave, that it was not a permanent trend. Stalin, you ran into trouble because he wanted you to say it will never come back. It stays bad all the time. Marx said it was a wave as well, but he didn't say it as effectively as you did. Marx, and he was already dead by the time Stalin was concerned with you. But he didn't read you well enough. You said, capitalism will die, but then comes back, and so forth. Whereas in reality, these people up here, they all think that they own this down below, but they don't.
Now, I hear there's a bank called the Deutsche Bank, and they have a capitalization of about $20 billion now. But they have some of these derivatives strapped on to the tune of something like $55 trillion in notional value.
Now, if you are a depositor in Deutsche Bank, and you go to the door, knock on the door today, and they say, oh, that's very nice. Well, we don't quite have your money available to give you, but we have the equivalent of that in terms of some of these notional value certificates, and it says it's the same thing, so we'll give you those. In fact, we'll give you a little bit of extra just because for the inconvenience. What would you say?
Well, I would want to find out where to buy adult diapers.
Well, coming from the economic underworld, that's not a problem for you because I was going to say the river Styx runs through there.
Dean, I think I must be going. It's the sunset, and it's been a wonderful day.
All right.
And Nastarovia.
Nastarovia. Professor Kondratieff, will you come back and please advise me and my friends again? We need it all the time.
As we say in Underworld, a piece of cake, and I will give your regards to John Maynard Keynes.
Please do. Tell him, you know, I'd be happy. I know people who will be happy to take his trading account. Up, there he goes.